Yeah.
And that's the tragedy of the film, I would say, for sure.
One last thing about ego is that he only cared about the fact that he saw himself in Quill, right? Because all of his other children weren't good enough because they didn't have the deity, right? They, I don't know, would you call it a god nature? Is that what they're kind of signifying in the film? That he's, part
I mean,
human,
for a god, he was a pretty terrible
yeah,
one.
but he saw himself
celestial
in Peter,
DNA.
and he didn't see himself in his other children. So the only thing that he actually cared about was still himself.
Yes,
right. That's true.
And it's like they named the character Ego. It's like it's a little on the nose, but it's like okay, you're right. Like, and the hysterical thing about this character is that like he's like, I'm finally going to be not alone, but I'm going to cover the universe in myself. So fun, like, how are you not going to be alone? Like, you're going to be more alone than ever.
Yep. Right. I'm going to be in perfect community with me, myself, and I.
Exactly. Yeah. And just a quick side note. One of the interesting touches of the movie is that the opening action scene is preventing this big weird flesh space monster, right, from coming down and stealing batteries. Oh, yeah. Right. And Rocket Raccoon steals the batteries. And that's what kicks off kind of the action of the movie. And then what is Ego doing? He's stealing his son to make him into a battery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's good.
He says, you're going to spend eternity as a battery. Like, it's just.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know that there's any deep symbolism there. It's just an interesting kind of touch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And the connotation, whatever that. I forget who the gold women were.
The sovereign.
That matriarchy, the sovereign. Yeah.
That's
like
that
whole thing was super weird. Just the matriarchy. And
just real quick about Yondu, even though he gives his life for his son, and it's a heavy scene, right? Like, it's not a lighthearted Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy scene. Like, it's heavy. But then even in that, there's redemption, because then he gets cremated and then all the Ravager clans show up and there's this big celebration with the fireworks, and he earns Sylvester Stallone character Stakar's approval because he had been cast out for doing that many years ago. And the funny thing is, even Yondu himself is fatherless because he was a slave boy. His parents sold him, and then Stakar rescued him. So Stakar was his father in a way. Right. And so you can just see this as you follow the chain all the way around the story.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. Even so Yondu fought, like, now that you say that, I'm kind of seeing it where Yondu fathers multiple people throughout the film, more so than just Peter, because even his exchange with Rocket, the raccoon, where what does Rocket say? He says something like, "You don't know me" or something. And then Yondu goes off of this. And he's like, "I am you." Yeah. And then he kind of wins him. He kind of wins Rocket in that exchange. And even that is an example of, I mean, there are a lot of fathers who would have that exchange with a child, even if it's not their child.
That could definitely be true of that scene. It could be true of some of his crew that he travels with. And, I think you could see that dynamic at play there too.